Hi guys, in my opinion, the summit between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump was never going to happen, and it may not happen. I may not be right, but the way things are going, it looks like that's not the way it's going to be. Kim Jong-un has set himself up really well in terms of going, allowing his country to go to the Winter Olympics and then starting this whole peace process, saying he's going to denuclearize and unify with the Koreans. Then he's going to have this high-level talks with South Korea. Then he's going to have this summit with Donald Trump. Then all of a sudden, after the USA withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal, and John Bolton said some stuff about North Korea possibly being like Libya, they've flipped, and it's such a quick flip that you know that it was already planned. So South Korea, as I said, they're going to be desperate to keep this thing on track. They're the ones who are most in danger in regards to North Korea. They're right across the border. They've got all this artillery pointed at them. Although they have American forces backing them up, a lot of death would still be caused. And obviously, if nuclear weapons are involved, then it gets even more devastating. Excuse me. So South Korea offering to mediate the talks between the US and North Korea, particularly Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump, in an effort to keep these peace talks on track. But I think North Korea is going to push for something like a complete stop of military drills or something along those lines. You know, something like that, which they're not going to get. So they may go back to their old ways in terms of missile testing or nuclear testing, which would obviously bring a response from Donald Trump, and that would obviously draw in China, who Kim Jong-un has been to visit twice in the last month, or possibly the last month and a half. Those reports I already brought to you in earlier videos, but Donald Trump is also saying that China may be the influence behind Kim Jong-un backing away from the historic summit. And I think that's true, but Donald Trump is obviously, I believe anyway, a part of their agenda. You know, he's not just an innocent victim. There's no way I believe that. But at the same time, he's a puppet. He's being used. So he may not be privy to all the information, but he definitely knows some, and he's playing his role just like all the other world leaders are playing their role. You know, as I've said before, putting on the show for us, the audience, and the curtain's about to go down. The final act is in progress. And when I say final act, I don't mean end of the world final act. I mean before they go on to their new chapter, before the new play starts, the Antichrist show. So a lot of things going on. And if South Korea decide to, you know, placate Kim Jong-un by stopping military drills or by forcing America out of the negotiations, I don't see that going very well. You know, Donald Trump is quite a prideful man. You know, he takes pride in his achievements and he doesn't like to be made to look foolish. So there will be some kind of response, whether it's military or not, that remains to be seen. Kilauea has erupted again. Not the big eruption we were looking for, but it has erupted 30,000 feet of ash this time instead of 12,000. So the eruptions are getting bigger. And this just, again, kind of falls in line with what could possibly be the dates associated with the volcano. The third, the letter C, the third letter, is when the volcano started. The 12th, L, the 12th letter, is when the volcano became more active. The 15th, which we appear to have down here, is when the volcano erupted 12,000 feet of ash. And one of the subscribers on my channel, please forgive me, I've forgotten your name, but you pointed out that it was 12,000 feet of ash, and it was, I can't remember what you said, but basically the calculation added up to 144,000, and that obviously had, you know, connotations with the Bible. My apologies for not getting the whole thing correct. It just came to my head now. I hadn't planned to put that part in the video. But then we've also got what could possibly be number 17 over here. And if that's true, and again it's connected to Obama, who's from Hawaii, where the volcano is going off, then 30,000 feet of ash today. Again, I'm still scouring the news for any association with today's date, the 17th, and something to do with the UK and the pound. If any of you guys know anything, let me know. We're not just going to take any old thing and put it as that interpretation, but to get all the information and to sift through it, we may find something that is relevant. And it seems unusual that all these things are happening. Still, I think there's some significance to these marks on the leaves and how many there are. But you know, it could be just another reference to 23, 2 on one side, 3 on the other side, and 23 could be any 23 of the month. It would kind of fall in line with this month, particularly because a lot of things have happened this month. Middle East, North Korea, volcano, tsunami warnings, false tsunami warnings, all those kind of stuff have happened this month, so there has been a lot going on. So if any of these numbers connect to any particular month, I would say that it seems likely that it's this month, considering the 3rd, 12th, 15th and 17th has seen activity around this volcano, which appears to be depicted on this apple. And again, the apple, the reference to the apple, it could be that it's referencing New York. Obviously, New York is the Big Apple, but then again, we've got the volcano going off on the Big Island. So I don't know, it could be an obscure reference in that way. The red apple, again, people have mentioned that Israel is the apple of God's eye. I don't have any disagreements with that, but I'm not exactly sure that that's what this particular scene is referencing. If it was to appear in the later scene with the Statue of Liberty and the Star of David, or even in the bombing scene, then maybe I'd make that connection. But this seems to be talking about another event separate from what's going to happen in the Middle East and on the Korean Peninsula, as well as on the United States and, you know, possibly the UK and in Europe. A lot of things going on. So the next date that I'm interpreting as possibly connected to this scene is the 18th, which is tomorrow. As I said, it's connected to this wave. I don't know if there is going to be a tsunami tomorrow. There's every potential for a tsunami to happen. There's loads of earthquakes going on, loads of volcanoes waking up. As I said, asteroid flying by, whether it flies by or flies into us, exists or doesn't exist, I don't know, but worth mentioning if something like that is going to happen. And then obviously it goes on to possibly the 21st with the 2 seeds and the 1 seed, and the 22nd with the B, and the 23rd with the Psalms. I know I've mentioned all this before, and I do apologize for any, you know, reiteration, but as the days evolve and events are unfolding, particularly with this volcano, I just feel it's important to point out the connections, because it seems to be getting a little bit more real. And I don't know if anything's going to happen next, but if something is going to happen next, then I want to make sure that I've done my part in terms of warning people as much as I can. And I was just thinking about this scene just for a minute. The blue and red, the emergency colors, the white dress. White dresses are wedding dresses. They're associated with virginity, but wedding is particularly what comes to mind. White dresses are what's worn at weddings. The bride wears the wedding dress. On her dress down here, it appears to me that there's a upside down 2 and an upside down 3, not just upside down but backwards, which is the way they kind of like to display their numbers as well. This particular scene is still evolving for me. I feel there's more information to be gleaned from it, if there's any information to be gleaned at all. We know that JK pointed out there's an 18 on the girl's dress as well. You have to kind of adjust the contrasting and stuff to see that the video has hidden things in these scenes as well. So what we're seeing is what we interpret, but then there's probably a whole nother layer of information, you know, hidden in the lighting and the contrasting of this video, which you'd have to go through and try and work on, which I've done a little bit on some scenes, which I pointed out in previous videos. But it is a lot of work because you can't do it to the whole video. You have to do it to one frame, and obviously that will mean you've got a lot of frames to go through, which I just don't have the time for. But maybe something to do with the wedding. As I said, asteroid on the 18th, wedding the next day on the 19th. I believe it will be taking place early in the morning over here, so if you're watching from America, you'll probably be looking at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I don't know, sometime like that, for when things get started. Significant times, obviously. So, you guys, that's all I really wanted to point out to you: the connections with the volcano and the dates, the possible connection to a wedding dress and blue and red emergency. We've already had the theory of the red wedding, so I really hope nothing happens. But then again, you guys know that I think that Prince Harry is, if he's not part of the Antichrist system, well, I'm not even going to say that. I think he is part of the Antichrist system. His creation of the Invictus Games, the I am reference, that is something that is very Antichrist. That comes from a poem which goes directly against the word of God, as I've pointed out before. So even his name, 1666 in Gematria, there's a lot of reasons why I think this guy, he's young, he's charismatic. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I think he is a prime suspect. And this wedding may be something where a ritual takes place at the same time as the wedding. Let's see. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.